Namaste and welcome to the Insight UK webinar on the occasion of International Women's Day. Today we have Kishori Jani as our guest in this series of webinars to celebrate Shakti, Sanskar and Success. We also have Riddhi as our host for today's webinar. More about Insight UK. Insight UK is a social movement dedicated to raising awareness, advocating and campaigning for the causes that concerns and impact British Hindus and Indian community in the United Kingdom. We conduct research, studies, surveys, campaigns, seminar, advocate initiatives alongside engaging with various stakeholders in society to further these causes such as raising awareness, advocating and campaigning against anti-Hindu and anti-India hate and propaganda. To start our podcast today, I would like to invite Riddhi to introduce our host.
Thank you for a wonderful introduction, Priyanka. A global namaste to all of our viewers and welcome on International Women's Day. So before I get started, I'll introduce Kishori. Kishori is a mother of four, a Sanskrit teacher and Eastern Vedic wisdom coach. She was born and raised in India in a temple setting to an American mother and a Gujarati father, who were both Hindu priests. She gained a deep understanding of the Vedic scriptures and is trained in a monastic lifestyle. She later obtained a degree in biochemistry from UCLA in Los Angeles, USA, and also worked there in academia for many, many years. And the unique blend of spiritual upbringing and professional skill has enabled her to share Sanatan Dharma in a more practical, applicable, and relevant way. She now lives in Leicester, UK, with her husband, Kishori Jani, and also has 4 children. They regularly post kirtans as a family and podcasts sharing bhakti on social media. Today, being International Women's Day, is organized every year to celebrate 4 things, and those are social, cultural, economic, and political achievements of women. Kishori, welcome to Insight UK. A global namaste to you. You epitomize.
Namaste, Riddhi. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Fantastic. It's lovely to have you here too. You epitomize the British Hindu women, an achiever on so many levels, a mother raising 4 children with dharmic values, dharmic sanskars, and also you're a matriarch of a well-integrated family. Going back to the local community through all of your wonderful charity work and also spreading a divine message, one of love and inclusivity. Kishori, I hope you're well. How is the family?
Everyone's very well, thank you. Hope you're well, Riddhi. Nice to be here.
Fabulous, and it's lovely to have you here too. So Kishori, please tell us more about how your Hindu identity shapes the roles that you play, of which you play many in your house and in the community. Give us some more information.
Thank you. That's a very deep question in some ways, because it is very true that our thoughts and our conceptions very much influence our roles. So I like how you are asking that, how does the Hindu identity influence all of our actions? This is something that I like to also bring to light, because we don't realize just how much whatever influx of signals from social media and everywhere we get, it affects everything we do. It basically molds who we are. So it took me a while to actually embrace my Hindu identity in a personal way. Although I grew up in a temple, my parents were priests, I was very privileged. I had that all throughout my upbringing, and yet I still had like a hankering to kind of explore what's out there, and I had this feminist streak in me for a long time. thinking that I'm going to make my own way, and I didn't really need to be married and all that. So the life that I live right now is quite far removed from what I had imagined for myself, actually. And yet, when I actually, it dawned on me that the life that was promised to me in the world out there, when I went to Los Angeles, it was very different to what I had expected. I saw that women were not as happy as I had imagined that they should be. So so many I could go on with that experience for a while, but that led me to actually really take a fine lens to what was my actual faith and belief in my Hindu experience, in the Hindu tradition. I was raised a Vaishnava. How did I actually connect with it? And did I believe everything that I was raised with? So I did my own, what's the word? Gharvapsi in a way. After going to America, getting my higher education, working there for a while, I decided actually I have never been happier than when I was fully immersed in my dharmic, upbringing. And I realized that everything that has been, all the systems put in place in Sanatan Dharma for women are supremely empowering. If we just know, if we understand why we are meant to do certain things, if we're given the knowledge and understanding of the physical nature of women and how it ties in with our spiritual identity, it completely transforms the way we function. So I had to make that choice, that very clear choice, that I want to live in the truest way, in the truest sense, according to the Sanatan Dharma principles. And so that's when I decided I was so excited to actually, at the prospect of marriage and having children and living a life that I guess would be considered more traditional. Nowadays it's considered very traditional to be married, have kids, or now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I worked for the past 6 years, but I've just decided that that the time spent with my children is the most valuable time, that I'll never get this time again. My littlest one is 4 years old, and it's just, time is racing by. And everything that I'd heard about motherhood, about how children get affected by everything around them, it became there was such a spotlight on it. And it made so much sense when I thought about it. Why are children advised to be, fully nurtured until the age of 5? This is in Sanatan Dharma, this is in our Vedic texts, that a child until the age of 5 should be fully nourished and nurtured and almost spoiled, lalan. And then you see that science backs up that claim, that the foundational years of a child is so crucial for their overall development. There's so many things that led to me truly believing and embracing Sanatan Dharma values. Even though I was raised with it, now they were my own. I fully, truly believe in it. And I cannot stress enough the value that I've gained from it. And that's my goal. I want to be able to share that with everyone, that these age-old, timeless values are still relevant today. It's not that, oh, this is some past, backward way of thinking. It applied like hundreds of years ago, but we can't live by those principles anymore. So every decision I make, I try to now think, what does our dharma say about it? And I've found that in every instance, I've benefited from it. Every time I try to understand my dharma and live by that principle, it has benefited me. Not just on an external level, but deeply within. Like it feels right. I feel fulfilled. I feel nourished. I feel so empowered in my dharmic roles. And it is so true that, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. It really comes to light that the more we live according to our dharma, you can actually see the effect in your life. You can feel the benefit of it. So your question is, how do my Hindu values affect my roles? Every aspect of it. Every day, every decision I make, I give full credit to my exposure and understanding of Dharma. I'm so grateful to my parents, to Srila Prabhupada, to ISKCON for, really highlighting and just spreading Sanatan Dharma like wildfire all over the world so that people, even in the UK or America, can have a deeper understanding of it and be able to change their lives for the better.
Amazing. Yes. So what I'm understanding from that is it all begins with you. When you can be deeply rooted in your own dharma and deeply know who you are, you have those values to pass on to other people. So having said that, they often say that we are actually offspring of our parents, and our parents have such a big role to play in our lives, just as how you're helping your 4 children at the moment. Tell me, I want to know a little bit more about your mother's inspiration, and how she overcame those challenges on her path to being a priest. It seems like it's an unconventional role that she's taken on, and she's done it so beautifully. Please tell us how she overcame those challenges.
Oh, it's a great question. The mother is considered the first guru, and it's absolutely the case in my life. I owe so much, if not everything, to my mother. She's American. She's actually white-bodied. My father is Gujarati. He's Indian. And she actually was raised a Catholic in Ohio, in America. So, and she was going to her university there. She was about, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, very young at the time. And she had all these questions that she couldn't find the answers to in her Catholic church. They were very much discouraged from asking questions, why, the whys and what's and hows. She always tells me that they would immediately say, you don't ask those questions. Yeah, so that left her searching. She was constantly looking for the answers to all these very burning questions. And she gave up all of that when she found the Hare Krishna devotees, when she read the Bhagavad Gita and she found out about karma and reincarnation and Lord Krishna and how open-minded Sanatan Dharma is. It was everything she'd ever been questioning and seeking. So if you can imagine, a 20-year-old American Catholic girl, she found what she was seeking and was willing to kind of surrender everything, give up everything so that she could live in her truth. She could live an authentic spiritual experience. And that just, now in my 30s, 40s, and I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, would I have the courage to do that? Would I have, not only did she join another faith with people she's never met, completely from a different background, she actually moved to India like in 1974. There was no phones, there weren't even proper toilets in India, there weren't even flights, and you cannot imagine India in 74. It wasn't really friendly for tourists. No one spoke English. And then she never left. She was in India for almost 40 years before or 30 years before she went back to America. On and off, but my point is her sacrifice and surrender has always guided me. And she never once wavered. Never once has she regretted or, kind of fallen off the path. She's just been able to completely immerse herself in Sanatan Dharma. And she's proof that the process works. She's always happy, always smiling, like no matter what difficulty she's going through. And she's had a tough life. I can't even begin how many times she's had malaria and typhoid, and she had 8 children, 7 of which were born in India. In the 70s and 80s, there weren't any hospitals. So she's had the most testing life, so much sacrifice, so much austerity. And yet she's one of the happiest people I know. She's one of the most giving, most loving, kind persons I've met. So it goes to show, it really is proof for me that the process works. This isn't just some, hodgepodge made up, like, imaginary path. Every aspect of this is almost scientific. You try it and you test it and you see the effect in your life. What more could I ask for? She's a role model in every respect. And I can only pray to have that kind of surrender, that kind of courage to follow the path with complete conviction. So yeah, I owe her everything.
Absolutely beautiful, such a blissful experience. And something that International Women's Day 2024 stands for, the campaign theme is to inspire inclusion. How do you feel Sanatan Dharma does this? It sounds like you both have a really deep understanding of Dharma and how it affects our psyche, how it affects consciousness, just by the seva that you do. And to do that, you've got to feel empowered. So the whole point of the Women's Day campaign theme, which is to inspire inclusion, to empower women, to value her, to push her for her inclusion. How do you feel Sanatan Dharma achieves these aims?
Oh, I just, right from the get-go, I feel like we've always been included. Right back to the gods and goddesses, the supreme reality. It's always been masculine and feminine. We're the only religion as such. We're the only culture that gives equal value to God in his masculine form and his feminine Shakti. Every whether it's Lakshmi or not, Lakshmi and Narayan, Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, Krishna and Srimati Radharani, one doesn't exist without the other. So right from the entire psyche of Sanatan Dharma, you can see that women have always been included. There's never been actually a question of not including us in anything. I've never felt the idea that this isn't for me and this is not allowed for me. And I know that many others might have the experience that, women are oppressed in India, and there might be some of that. There's always some bad apples that are ruining it for everybody else. But that is out of ignorance of what Sanatan Dharma actually represents. If we read the scriptures, if we read about Sati Devi, like how she gave up her, her body in flames, if you read the actual text, you realize how empowered she was. It wasn't forced on her. You read about Mata Sita. She didn't, Lord Ram told her, please don't come into the forest. It's a very dangerous place. But she didn't back down and say, I don't want to come. Okay, fine, I'll just sit and wait in the palace. No, it was her choice and nobody could stop her. Kaikeyi was this great warrior. She was such a great charioteer. Draupadi was the state treasurer. Like, all of these powerful women were well educated, empowered, back down to nobody. They did what they thought was right. They were not brainwashed into like, well, you have to do it this way. So there's a lot of misconceptions even amongst Hindu populations that somehow women must be this way, and they, and maybe over the generations of invasions, we've had to adapt to so many different rules and regulations that have really twisted our relationship with the divine feminine, with motherhood, with women in general. It's been twisted. So my understanding is that actually, when you come back to the roots, when you come back to this actual scripture and the stories, you realize we've always been included. Women have never been left out. Women were never secondary citizens. There was never a question of competition because we were always they're supporting each other in equal roles. So it's a very foreign idea to think that women are should be hidden, and what's the famous line? Women should be seen and not heard, or like, even the whole pallu panghat all the way till here. That's Many believe that that's an effect of the invasions, that we had to hide ourselves from the invaders so that we could protect, otherwise who knows what would happen to us? We'd get raped, we'd get kidnapped. So a lot of the oppressive prathas, the forced satis, or the female infanticide, is a real degradation of Sanatan Dharma and our understanding of it. The more in tune I get with my dharmic understanding, I just feel I am worth it. I don't need to prove it to anyone. My identity is sacred. It's intrinsic. Nobody can take that away from me. That's what I get from the Shastras, from studying the scriptures. And I would recommend highly, encourage any woman hearing this to not let other narratives guide our impression of women in Sanatan Dharma. We really should be doing our own research. We really should understand the essence of the great women in our history, like Draupadi and Sita and Kunti and Lakshmi Bai. We've got the whole spectrum of role models. We don't need to be reinventing the wheel as such. So I feel included. I feel there's no question of fighting for my rights in Sanatan Dharma.
Fabulous. And what do you think is the difference between dharmic femininity and Western feminism?
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty loaded question. Of course, Western feminism has its place. It was needed in the under the circumstances that it was born in. Women were not allowed to vote. There was so many restrictions on women in the West. And a lot of that came into India through the colonial invasions. We don't realize just how much we've taken in from the West. But Western feminism, there's only a limit which we can reach. After a while, it feels like, well, my understanding of it, when I went to Los Angeles, I realized it all has to do with proving myself. It all has to do with kind of external achievements. If I get a good education and I, pursue my career, and I have that big house and a position and prestige and people respect me, then I am successful. Then I am worthy. Then I am finally reached, I'm at par with my male counterpart. That to me feels very foreign after discussing that I always felt included. I always felt empowered in my identity as a woman. I don't feel like I need to prove anything to anyone. I don't need to achieve anything to be worthy. And Sanatan Dharma is, therefore, its worth and empowerment comes from within. Sanatan Dharma teaches me that I don't need to impress anybody. The Adi Shakti, that energy is pervading everything, and we can choose to tune in and empower ourselves from within with that same Shakti. I don't need anything external to empower me. So that is one very stark difference for me, that Western feminism is limiting because it relies on external factors. It relies on our ability to achieve, and everyone's ability to achieve is going to be different. And so we're actually limiting ourselves by that. Not only that, when we compete with men in terms of achievement, in terms of production, in this kind of capitalist machinery, we're trying to all fit in. We are putting all of our worth into how much money we can make and how successful we become, how much of the gender pay gap we can squeeze out, which of course we should. There shouldn't be a pay gap. But if that's our only self-worth is completely attached to that, we're going to always miss out, especially because at the end of the day, men do not have the same limitations. Sorry, I've lost you there. Men don't have the same limits, the biological limitations that we might consider, that women have. We do have to contend with periods every month. We're gonna deal with PMSing or postpartum, or whether it's perimenopause. Those are realities for us. And that's always going to be there. It's not something that's just, you can't just suppress it and pretend that we're just equal. We don't have this biological makeup, which is actually our source of empowerment. This Nari Shakti, especially in Sanatan Dharma, that is my source of power. I'm gifted this incredible ability to bring life into this world. Like, if I suppress and oppress that within me because I need to compete in production, like this, it's always going to be at odds with each other, and we'll always be losing out because the men will always be able to be a couple of steps ahead of us because they don't have that. So I really don't think it's about becoming equal. It's about understanding our own value, intrinsic value, and doing the best we can. We've all got to work and make ends meet, but it shouldn't be that our self-worth is reflected in our ability to make money or be successful in an external parameter. Hope that makes.
Yeah, so basically there's something beyond Kama and Artha, and that is really embracing Dharma to reach moksha. I think that is such a great journey within itself, because when women really embrace their emotional intelligence, they have so much to nurture and give to the world as well, because women really lead from the forefront. They create those safe spaces, they build those bridges over walls to enable something greater to come into being. And so, how do you see those achievements of the British Hindu women in the UK and the Hindu women worldwide?
Oh, yeah, what a great question. I've been in the UK for about 15, coming on to 15 years now. And I've got to say, I'm so in awe of British Hindu women, because I've seen this, magical balancing act that women have to do here. And in comparison to America, I found that many women here have still held on to their cultural roots a lot more than in other emigrating, groups. The cultural values that have, been protected in the UK is quite astonishing. It's very impressive, and so I've made so many new friends here, and they are lawyers and trainers, and they're all variety of people. They're really well accomplished, and my hats off to them that they've endured so much, especially the generation that came before. Who knows how? I mean, I can't even imagine the struggles that they had to, overcome. There's my father-in-law and mother-in-law tell me about, anyway, so much racism they had to deal with in the 80s and 70s. They've been around here in England for a while, but it is mind-blowing what we can achieve with the backing and foundation of Dharma. I feel very strongly that it protects us and it guides us and it empowers us on every step, whether it be comedy or politicians. Hindu women have reached every field in the UK. One of my favorite comedians is Sindhu V. She's great. There's obviously Priti Patel, love her, hate her. Hindu women are everywhere, and today I just read that Sudha Murthy ji is entering the Rajya Sabha in India. Women are leading. They're at the forefront. Whether we even take Nikki Haley, who used to be a Sikh but now she's a Christian, the foundation is laid in your upbringing. That the foundation of Dharma is pretty solid. It's going to carry you through life. So I really firmly believe that it makes all the difference. How we are raised, what kind of values we choose to uphold in our family, and what we're going to pass on to our children. The sky is the limit. And we've seen that with Hindu women all over the world. There's nothing that can really stop us.
That's so beautiful. There's nothing that can really stop us.
Yeah.
And it's really embracing that Nari Shakti, embracing that divinity within and letting that shine into all of the work that we do, because that really enables women to empower themselves. When they feel empowered, they feel inspired to be included. There's a sense of belonging in the family, belonging in society, belonging in the community. They feel a sense of relevance and empowerment from within. And when we inspire others to understand and value women's inclusion, we forge for a better world. Kishori ji, it's been beautiful to have this satsang with you today and to really feel empowered from within. What is your final message for our audience?
Oh, I also wanted to say it's been really sweet. Thank you so much for your wonderful efforts in, bringing Hinduism to the forefront in the UK. My message today would be that really try to reconnect with our spiritual identity so that we can have the tools to go the long run. We've got it inside. We don't really need anything more. We just need to really hone our spiritual identity to unlock so many mysteries in life.
Beautifully said. And it's just been absolutely a privilege to have you here with us today on Insight UK and to gain more from your understanding of life and what you feel is so important to be able to empower women in society today, to really embrace that inner essence of Nari Shakti. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you to the audience as well. Hope you enjoyed that, and namaste to you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you, Kishori ji, for sharing your both informative and inspiring life. Actually, the way you've mentioned how spirituality transforms the way we work, this little statement is so powerful. I was just listening and I had so many goosebumps, I would say. It's equally inspiring, actually, the way you said in modern times, old age, timeless dharmic values, which you are using for the development of your own children. And it is so, so important that we all must understand this, that values don't change with time. They are still equally, have the importance like the modern values as well. And of course, the story about your mother, she's been brilliant. And the way she's struggled, absolutely coming from a developed country to a developing country, and, whole environment changing around her. It's absolutely inspiring. You are really a result of her sacrifice.
Yes.
And how beautiful you are, and the way she has nurtured you. It shows how a dharmic transformation works, actually. We're really, really inspiring. Thank you for sharing everything that you have shared with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, my honor. Thank you for giving me that space.